Okay, so we're going to be talking about how to use a try-catch block. And so just to give you guys kind of like a little bit of background information here, we're going to create a class, all right, and we're going to call it catching errors, just to kind of have something dumb to look at. Basically, there are three types of errors that we can encounter in programming. Okay, so syntax errors. Okay, and syntax errors are errors that give us little red X's over here and little red marks over here. Okay, they won't even, like, if you have syntax errors, you can't even compile. Okay, won't let you change your code into runnable code. Okay, then you have logic errors. All right, logic errors are errors that basically, like, you put a less than when you meant greater than, or you put an equal to when you really mean not equal to. Okay, so those are errors that make the code run differently than you expect. So the code, it's not a syntax error, it's legally syntactically, but it's wrong in terms of the way you want it to run. Okay, so differently than expected. That's what logic errors are. Okay, and then there are runtime errors. Okay, and runtime errors happen for various reasons, but basically it's like you did something in your program that screwed the computer up. Okay, so there's a couple things, and we'll list a couple of them, like common ones that we can look at here. So errors that the computer cannot handle on its own. Okay, so let's look at some examples of that. Okay, input mismatch. Okay, so we're going to look at that today. I'm asking the user for an integer, they're entering a string. The computer can't handle that on its own. Okay, null pointer exception. Okay, null pointer means, like, I'm telling an object to do something, but that object has not been created yet, so I can't do the thing that I want to do with it. Okay, index out of bounds. Okay, so if we're looking at an array, for example, and the array is 10 elements in length, and I ask it to access index 10, that's going to be an index out of bounds because a 10 element array has indices 0 through 9. Okay, so those are some common examples of when we would find runtime errors. Okay, so then let's just kind of talk about this real quickly here. So let's go ahead and say scanner input equals new scanner. So we're going to go system.out.print, and then we're going to go enter your name. Okay, so string name equals input dot next. Okay, and then we'll do something like system.out.print enter your age. So we're expecting an age to be a whole number here, so we're going to go int age equals input dot next. We'll go next int. Okay, and then let's just do system.out. And we'll just kind of review this for a second. System.out.format. Okay, and then we'll go hello %s for string. You have, let's go, %d for the int, right? Years before you can vote. All right. So one argument that we need there is the string, which is going to be the name, and then one argument we need there is the number of years that you can use, have to take before you can vote. And so let's make some, let's do some math in here. Let's take the age, and let's take 18 minus the age. Okay. So sorry, that's kind of running off the side there. So basically, this wildcard string is going to be replaced by the name. This wildcard decimal, whole number decimal, is going to be replaced by 18 minus the age. Okay? Alright, so if we just run that and everything goes well, then we can go ahead and say, my name is Johnny, and I'm 13 years old. So, hello, Johnny, you have 5 years before you can vote. So far, so good? If I run it again, enter your name, and you say, still, this time I'm John, and enter your age. Well, John is 15. Okay? So this is an example of an input mismatch exception. Okay? So what this means is you entered something, in this case 15, that was not expected by the program. Okay? The program is expecting to get an int with input.nextInt. And so what we can do to handle that situation is do what's called a try-catch block. So we can say, try to do this code, all right, and if that exception happens, catch it and handle it in some way. Okay? So basically what we'll do then is we'll say, like, we'll initialize age to some value like -1. Okay? And then we'll go try age equals input.nextInt. Okay? If you have a try, then you need to have a catch. Okay? And what we want to do is we want to tell it what kind of exception we're going to catch. All right? But you could just put in exception. Okay? So if you don't know the type of exception that you're going to catch, you can just put exception, and that's the parent of all exceptions. And so every exception will get caught that way.
So what's the point of not using it?
If you there are situations where you might have different things that you want to do depending on the exception that happens. Okay, so then you want to delimit, like
please enter
if it's a null pointer exception, if it's an input mismatch, if it's a boom, if it's a whatever. You know, you don't really know off the top of your head. So in this case, we know that it's an input mismatch that's going to happen. So we want to be really like as specific as we can be, but if you don't know, then just put exception. Okay? All right. So what do we want to do when they do that? Well, we probably want to give them some kind of an error message, right? So we can do system.err if we want to be fancy and have a fancy error message. Okay? And we can do println. Okay? And then we can say, please, like you just said, please enter numerical data, or a number, for the age, right? And then we can make a decision about whether we want to do this or not, okay? So that decision would be based off of age, I guess. So if age is -1, then we know that there was some error that happened. Okay, so the way this happens, the way this works, input.nextInt, if that does what's called throwing an exception, okay, so if that throws an exception and it gets caught here, all right, then age still has the initial value of -1. So when this throws an exception, it doesn't like just make up a value. It just says, hey, something got screwed up. We're going to jump to here, and then we're going to do whatever you told us to do when we catch the error, and then we're going to go on and finish the code. Okay? So we could say something like, if age is not equal to -1, then print out the you have years before you can vote. Okay? And so this same construct works for like like we said, null pointer exception, okay, index out of bounds exception, okay, and basically what you can do is if you're not sure what to do, run your code without it, do something that you know is going to screw it up, and then it'll tell you the type of exception down here, like we saw a second ago. Like we saw that it was an input mismatch exception in all that red text. You guys get it? Okay, so let's see if John screws this up again. John is, I think we said 15. Okay, and so there's your error print line. You guys notice how I did system.error.println? So it makes it red. Please enter a number for the age. Okay, if I run it again, okay, Johnny knows what Johnny's doing. I think Johnny was 13. I don't remember. Hello, Johnny. You have 5 years before you can vote. So in that case, age was not equal to -1. Age was equal to 13 because it did what it was supposed to do. Okay, and so we've got the hello syntax there, or the hello string.